network, let the stories be told. The network, it's your time to tune in. Stories that connect where we are.
My name is Karabusina, the General Manager of Rights Holder Services in SAMRO. SAMRO is an organization that represents writers of music and composers as well as publishers. So the function of SAMRO is essentially to ensure that we collect licensing fees from broadcasters and even, your local stores, be it, grocery stores or anything of that sort, as long as they consume music, and ensure that we then take that money and pay out that money as royalties to the members of whom the music is used. You need to be a member of SAMRO anytime you are writing music or you are creating a composition of music. You would need to be a member of SAMRO, and that will allow you to earn royalties throughout South Africa as well as Swaziland, and we also cater for Lesotho at the same time. SAMRO membership is firstly free, and the compliance is simply, a member needs to submit the required documentation, this simply being, completing a membership application form, signing the deed, authorizing SAMRO to go ahead and, collect on your behalf, and then thereafter providing us with your banking details, and most importantly, also providing us with your list of music and the different share splits that are included, because sometimes you may not write a specific song alone. So with that, you need to make sure that we are well aware as to who wrote with you, and then after that, we can split the money accordingly. So once you've provided us with that information, we put you through a process where we firstly have to wait for you to earn a minimum, as a composer or writer member, a minimum of 100 rands, and then thereafter you will then start getting paid your royalties. As a publisher member, you have to earn a minimum of 1,000 rands, and then thereafter we start paying you your royalties. So simply, once you've complied with that process, all you need to do is continuously update us with any new music that you might create via the portal. That's the easiest platform, because once you register, we give you access to it. And in that sense, then we will collect the data from all the users and make sure that you are then paid your necessary royalties.
Dumelang sanibona. Welcome to Voices of the Art on Voice on the Move Network. Ke nna Mogo Modisakeng, kgaitsedi ya Motswana. And today I'm going to be standing in for Andile Duba. Of course, we're going to be chatting to Karabusina, who is our special guest this morning. And we know that because the other time we checked a few of the other sessions that he has had, and he likes being called a special guest because it makes him feel like a special agent. So we're going to go into that. And SAMRO is, of course, an organization protecting the rights of music creators in South Africa. Please welcome with me Ukarabo Sena. Mr. Sena, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, Mo. Thanks for the pleasant welcome.
Welcome, you're welcome. Of course, we're going into music creators and how SAMRO protects them. Can you give us a bit of an explanation as to who SAMRO is and what they do in terms of the creators in South Africa?
Yeah, so essentially SAMRO, as you heard, just from the first video that you played, SAMRO stands for the Southern African Music Rights Organization. Mm-hmm. So essentially our purpose is to represent creatives who write music or even compose music. So from that point, we would then go out to market, license their creations, which are songs. And whenever these songs are used in the public domain, that is being on radio, on TV, on shopping centers, or even stores or restaurants, then creatives can then earn revenue from that perspective. So that's simply what SAMRO is. And we always say that whenever you write music, you need to be a member of SAMRO, because there is no other way of you earning royalties. And I think another thing that we can get into is that there are different types of royalties. Obviously, SAMRO focuses on what we call a performing right, but we can always get into what other types of royalties exist.
So we see that there's Samro's Music Support Fund, which has recently expanded. We've seen that it offers about 25,220 members, which are in South Africa, and this started, let's say, about 2024 rather. Can we then go into detail as to how has that broadened the landscape of South African artists, as well as shown the support that Samro has to them in order to get their royalties paid out?
Yeah. So, and I think just before I get to that program, it's quite important for everybody, to understand that if you're a creative, the support that Semro lands is not just maybe this particular music creator support fund, but there's also educational platforms that Semro provides so that, you are able to learn. We do partnerships with, the Academy of Sound Engineering, University of Pretoria, and all other sort of platforms. So what is key with specifically the one that you mentioned, the Music Creator Support Fund, we, in that program do two intakes. So one first half of the year, the other one second half. And you're correct, it's 120 in each. And the focus is to disperse somewhere in the region for about 3 million rands that is meant to then support, the creation of music. So essentially you apply, you could be registered, like creating a single, you could be doing an EP, you could be shooting a music video. But the essence of it all is that we want creatives to create. And the only thing that you need is for you to be a SEMRO member, and what we call for you to be a voting member, meaning you should have earned a minimum of at least 100 rands from SEMRO. And then from there on, and a once off, and then from there on, you are, eligible to apply.
So we speak about the splits that are there and obviously the creators being supported by Usambro. Can we then go into the education part of it that you offer? Why was it necessary for Sambro as an organization to make sure that people are educated about it and how to actually go into it? Because I think in the music industry, we see those that are passionate and maybe they don't have a background of education. So how important is it for them to step into a place and an organization where they can understand and be taught further?
Yeah, so what we picked up is that music has a very low barrier of entry, from that sense, from an educational sense, because a lot of the creatives, they are very good at what they do, being to create. But a lot of times people don't understand the different rights in the music industry and also how agreements may be structured to benefit them, that is. And also how do they then earn? Because creation alone does not mean that you're going to make an income from music. A lot
Yes.
of musicians are actually not doing well. SEMRO represents just over 150,000 creators. And I mean, I can tell you that probably those that earn decent royalties are just about 5,000 of them. So that already tells you that there is a massive gap in understanding as to how royalties function. So with that knowledge, right, we then undertook an effort to say, SEMRO has what we call a social and cultural fund. So simply meaning every single year we put money aside to develop, creatives. So with that, we seek to, do partnerships. Recently, we just did what we call the Music Business Lab, which focused on publishers. So we do that intake as well twice in a year. And then we also did, like I said, partnership with Academy of Sound Engineering. And then we also have a partnership as well with Soul Candy. So all these different intakes are meant to make sure that people are further understanding how to position themselves, not just from a craft perspective, but from a business perspective. And I mean, in closing, what I always say to people is this, that there's a difference between creating music and the business of music. Those are two different things. So you could be fantastic in what you do in terms of creating music. But when it comes to the business of music, you may not be the best person. And we are trying to give you those legal skills and business skills so that you can also manage that up until such a point where you can, probably get a manager or, somebody that can help you manage your music career with you.
So you've just mentioned that there are obviously two different aspects of being a creator, which is the artistry side, producing the music, singing out those lyrics, and then there's the business side. And we've just spoken about the education that Isamro offers under their organization to further expand their understanding of the business side. But what I want us to dive into are the difficulties that you have realized or seen from the artists when it comes to diving into the business side of it, because there could be issues like language barriers that people are going through, or we come from a place where education wasn't really our stronghold. So in your own understanding, some of the difficulties that are there from these artists and how you actually work around them.
Yeah. So the most simplest way we work around them, firstly, is to seek to also be accessible, right? So the purpose of SEMRA is to be accessible. We also attend, a lot of workshops. So the reason why workshops are important is because in a workshop setting, sometimes not everything needs to be done over a program or training session that takes, so many months or so many weeks. So a workshop setting is almost like a master class where we can also teach people in their own language, and also gain feedback from the people there, because sometimes people just want to be, certain focus to be on certain things, and you can focus deeper and deeper into that topic so they understand it. But on a broader level, what we understood as SEMRA is that we need to ensure that all the creatives that are part of the SEMRA system and even outside, we create enough material. The reason why I would also have an interview with yourself is so that there's material out there so that people can consume at their own leisure. So
Yes.
there is further understanding of the music industry and the market. And the reason why it's so complex is because music in itself, from a royalty standpoint, simplistically, there are five, let's say five, but simply four different rights when we talk about copyright. Just to list them, and maybe we might go into other episodes where we talk deeper about these type of rights. SEMRO firstly focuses on a performing right, which is anytime music is used in public. And then there is what we call SAMPRA. SAMPRA focuses on the other side of music, which is the master side, meaning the recording side, because in music there's two sides to it, and you often hear people talk about publishing and the master. So those two, SEMRO is the one side and SAMPRA is the one side. But over and above that, there's something that we call also reproduction,
Yes.
which is Capasso focusing on a mechanical right. And then outside of Capasso, then we have, as you might know, RISA or RISA audiovisual, focusing on visual, obviously, or music videos that are put on TV. And there's royalties stemming from all these things. Now imagine as a musician, you're walking into the music industry and you don't understand all these things. So, okay, fine. How do I make money from SAMPRA? How do I make money from SAMRA? How do I make money from Capasso? How do I make money from RISA? Right? It's easy for you to leave money on the table sometimes. And we often think that, especially now with the new digital platforms that are coming up as well, creatives need to understand that it's not just about putting your song on a DSP, because you can also get paid money for your music being on what we call VOD sites like your Netflix or Amazon or Disney. You can also make money from what we call also UGC. UGC is user generated content like your Facebook, your TikToks, your YouTubes. So how does that actually work? And you find not many people understand how to monetize. And I think for me, the biggest passion that I have is, how do you monetize? Don't just tell me that my song is up on somewhere. It's like, no, 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 no. That means nothing. Beyond that, how do you make money off that? So those are the sort of things that we delve in, because we also process royalties for that. So we are quite passionate about helping people understand those sides of the industry.
Talking about passion, I can see the way that you're speaking, and as a special guest, Mr. Sina, you are lighting up, and it's good to see. And on that note, I wanna ke tlo bua ka Setswana ne. O sa utlwing, o tla utlwa, and we are going to make sure that they do. What I then want to understand is, when we are speaking about the representation, we're speaking about promoting diversity. As Samro, what is your role to make sure that artists of different cultures, different backgrounds are also being taken care of, as well as going into genders? Because there's male and females. We have different ways of working. We have different ways of representing our art.
So let's start off from a gender space, right? I think about 2 to 3 years ago, SAMRO did a research, which we shared publicly, but the whole point is we were looking at the impact of music and obviously in relation to gender. And what we found is that within SEMRO, royalties are paid despite what you see out there. But when
Yes.
you speak about royalties, actually there's about 10% of females earning royalties. Only 10%. And I'm sure you and I can say, but come on, man, we hear so many songs of females out there. So where are these females? And this is where the issues come in, where sometimes we wonder, do these people even understand, that, at certain points they need to earn royalties? Do they actually even create the music? What actually is happening? And our purpose is to try and educate so that, just from a gender parity perspective, we can have some sort of evening out because, if you have less than 10%, that's a big, big, big
It's a
discrepancy.
huge,
And we
yes.
know in reality, come on, females are super active in the music space, right? But you don't see it when it comes to the money side. So that's number one. Then let's come to different, ethnic groups within South Africa. So we are quite, sort of like in tune with the fact that there's major differences. I mean, music that is played sort of like slightly upwards from, let's say, Mpumalanga, Limpopo is vastly different to what is played in KZN. So, we strive to be in most of these settings so we can speak to the different languages, but more so, I mean, there are an assortment of awards in South Africa, which, we seek to participate in. And also there's different types of associations and movements
Yes.
that we also sort of like partner with so that we can speak to the different genres. And I mean, it's not just about ethnic groups, but then you go into the genres where you will have Afrikaans music, then you have almost gospel, then you have, so all these things are totally unique. So how you speak to them is slightly different to how you would speak to the other. But we strive as much as possible to sort of work our way with all of these. But I mean, South Africa is a big country as well. There's like
Yes.
other problems. So you can't be everywhere. So we value content such as yours because it allows somebody who is tapped in, because the internet has really made it a little bit easier. So you can get access to people that you would never have access to in the norm.
Mr. Sena, we're going to take a bit of a break, but before we do that, let's go into the comments that we have. Of course, Usane Dlamini says, morning, great to see you more. Let me share this with my son as he is also into music. Sane, thank you very much. It's lovely to hear from you. And of course, you can do that with us. As you can see, Mr. Samro is here and he is speaking about the rights that are there as well. And we have Usent. Sent is always with us and we are looking forward to stay with us for the rest of the show. Sen says, morning VM Network fam. Voice of the Artist show is very important interview to educate us, especially budding musicians, to understand what happens behind the scenes, the great mystery of the music industry. Of course, we're going to take a short break. We have Ushane coming in with new. And then after that, we're still going to speak to Mr. Sena about more of Samro and the delegations that they have in terms of making sure that the rights of artists are taken care of.
No matter how far, how deep, how high you've come, no matter how tired, lonely or scared you are, when you're old, broken in bones, will you rest your soul? Finally know you were on every part of my page. God, you're the wind inside of my sail. You make me feel like it is real. With you, all things are finally new. You give and you take, you break and you make it through. You wish and you learn, you give and you earn your love. You were on every part of my page. God, you're the wind inside of my sail. You make
beautiful sound from Shanae with New. And of course, it sounds so melodic. And as we are speaking about music rights with Mr. Sena, we're going to speak to her as well as to how did she come about her journey. And of course, right now, we're going to go into some comment. And we have sent again saying, earning royalties in South Africa. Thank you for bringing Karabo Sena to unpack this topic for us. And of course, he's still with us. We're going to be unpacking it a bit more. And the royalties is a big conversation because earlier he did mention that not a lot of people or artists go into a space where they understand that they can actually monetize their artistry and making music, producing it from the beats to the actual lyrics itself and actually performing it live. Mr. Karabo, we're talking about royalties and how it also goes into the play of being an artist. Let's speak about what royalties actually are, because if I were to converse with someone, royalties would say, no, it's the king from Botswana, whereas in the music industry, it is not necessarily that. So what are royalties?
Yeah, so the simplest way to explain a royalty, it's almost some sort of annuity income. Now, to make it even simpler, think of it as though anytime you create a song, you are creating a piece of property, that's really what it is. That's
Yeah.
why it's called IP, intellectual property, right? So think of it as a physical thing though, because sometimes sometimes people think of something abstract. It's like, nah, it's not a property. But imagine you had a property and somebody used it like rental income. Somebody lived in your property. They would pay you rent. So music is the same thing. It's just, abstract. It's just, something that you can't touch. But it's a piece of property that allows that if somebody else uses it, they then pay you, a portion, so an annuity. So that's the best way to think of it. So the idea is as follows. You need to now, as a creative, focus on how do I make sure that as many people or avenues are using my property, right? Because that's how you make money. And remember, it's not only fixed to South Africa. SAMRO collects even foreign royalties. So meaning your property could be used in Germany, could be used wherever. So that usage allows you to attract a certain annuity, which is money to you. So that's the real game of royalties, essentially. It's you simply saying, I create a piece of property, then I put it out to the world. And as the world uses this piece of property, the more they use it, the more money I should make. That's really what it is.
So talking about now the more money that you should make and people using your IP, which is the intellectual property, I want us to go back to copywriting and how we can understand it, because it goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about the education of it, SAMRO being a body that protects the music rights of artists, but if we can understand copywriting and the different copyrights that they are and how it fits into being a musician who performs and records and releases singles every now and again.
Yeah. So I will explain it in a much more, let me try and build a virtual tree so somebody can picture it in their minds, right? So legally, you have what we call copyright for music, but think of it as two separate things, firstly. So you've got something that we call copyright in the composition. So copyright in the composition speaks to the creation of music. So anybody that sits there and writes music or creates a beat, the law protects them under copyright in the composition. And it says the person has to do is that they have to create a unique work. So something that is different from any other person's music. And immediately, once they've done that, they own that copyright. They don't have to even register it with SAMRO or anybody. They own it, right? That's it. And then there's the other side. The other side is what we call copyright in the recording. So meaning now when you take this song and then you record it, because this side, you need to put it in material form. So meaning you need to either, put it in a recording or something so that somebody can hear the music, because you just coming up with writing out the music and having your music sort of written out lyrics, and even if you notate it, that's not good enough. You need to record it. Now you've got two sides of the music, but then it goes just one level deeper. Then from these two, copyright in the composition, which speaks to the creators, copyright in the recording, which speaks to the performers. The performers are people that sing the song. Obviously, in the recording, we are not really listening to the person that wrote the song. We're listening to the person that's performing the song. The people that created the music, copyrighting the composition, have now two other copyrights that they have underneath that one. That's what we call the performing right, which is SAMRO. So this is what SAMRO pays out. So this is anytime music is played in public. And then we've got the reproduction, which is the mechanical right. The mechanical right is Capasso. So what is the difference between Capasso and SAMRO? A lot of people get confused. Okay, fine.
Yes.
If there is a mechanical right and there's a performing right, what's the difference between the two? Because the two are still focused on the creators of music. The difference is that anytime somebody plays your music, in the sort of like way back, we used to understand that when you played a song on the internet, it would buffer a bit, right?
Yes.
That buffering meant that the song was being copied. Or way back when there were cassettes or CDs, obviously the song needed to be copied onto something. So that is the reproduction. So even now, when you listen to music on iTunes or Spotify, in the back end, it's just that it's so quick, you don't get to see it. It's still buffering. So that means that the music is being copied. That is why if you are listening to a song and then you turn off your, sort of like go to flight mode, it will
Yes.
play for a little bit and then it will stop. So there was a copying that was happening in that moment. So meaning the mechanical right is simply the copy, and then the performing right is anytime your music is used in public. But that's just for the creators of the song. Now, the performers of the song, the people that sing the song, they will earn not from SEMRO or Capasso, they will earn from SEMPRA. So SEMPRA deals with the person that interprets the song, because I could write a song and give it to Mo because I don't have the voice to sing, right? But Mo might be much more better at it, and Mo performs the song. So Mo and the people that, the band members, the people that recorded that song will earn from SEMPRA. And what needs to be noted is that it's also a skill to interpret a song, because I could give the same song to 5 people, but I can assure you it will sound different, right?
True.
Nobody will perform it in the same way.
Yes.
So the performers earn from that. And lastly, where RISA audiovisual comes in is where there are music videos. So if there's a music video, then there is almost sort of like some artistic effort that went into the creation of those music videos. So those are basically the 4 types of copyrights in the music industries, where firstly, you need to be members of each society. So you can't just go and say, I'm a member of SEMRO, and that's good enough. No, you are leaving money on the table. You need to be a member of SEMRO, you need to be a member of Capasso, you need to be a member of SEMPRA, you need to be a member
Yes.
of RISA. Now, it's very important that you understand in South Africa, commonly a lot of creatives write their own songs, and it makes sense. They write it and they perform it. So simply meaning that creative will earn from SEMRO, Capasso, SEMPRA, and if they've got music videos, also RISA. But if this person only writes music, they will only earn from SEMRO and Capasso only, and the person that performed the music will be the one that earns from RISA and SEMPRA. So that's the simplest way of looking at the music copyright space. And if you are an artist, please make sure that you sign up or you are a member of all these 4 associate or sort of CMOs that I've already told you about.
So on that note, we're going to go into some comments. Again, we have Play It Loud Records saying thank you for this valuable information. Of course, we are live on the Voice on the Move network, and you can send in your comments, your questions here in the comment section. Of course, like, share, subscribe, and comment even further, because we are with the SAMRO General Licensing Sales Manager, who is going into conversation with us about the rights, the different bodies that you need to be a part of in order to make sure that the money that is due to you, your royalties, are actually being paid out. Mr. Sina, before we then go and wrap up this conversation, there's just one more that we'd like to find out. Of course, we see that SAMRO has recorded a revenue increase as well as an increase in the distribution of the royalties. And we want to then find out, how does SAMRO play a part in ensuring that all the different parties in a creation of a song gets paid evenly?
Yeah. So, firstly, in terms of the revenue increase, you would have noted that in the last 2 years, we've been, able to do quite well in terms of obviously registering just about a 15% increase year on year. So that's quite good, because what it means is that, and I think it's important for everybody to note this, SEMRO is not, it's not a for-profit company; it's a non-profit company, right? So the objective is make as much money as possible so that, besides the administration fees, you can pay as much money out to creatives. And that's really the objective, from a SEMRO perspective. And we try as much as possible to make sure that everybody benefits from that. Now, to make sure, how do we make sure that creatives, earn what is due to them? We have what we call distribution rules. There's certain rules that we strive to have to protect artists. But at the same time, artists need to know certain things, because there are things that we can do to help you. There are things that sometimes we can't help you with. So where we help is that we have a rule that says that as a creator of music, you need to earn at least 50% of the song. So meaning, even if you have a publisher can never own more than 50% of the song. So
Yes.
that protects your revenue, right? However, there are certain gaps in there, meaning, let's suppose there's no publisher. How artists choose to split their 100% share, SEMRO doesn't really regulate that. So meaning, an artist, you and I can sit in a studio, and then you could have written majority of the song, but just because for some reason, you believe that, oh, Karabo is a bigger brand than you, or whatever the case is, Karabo takes a bigger share. That's really not how it's supposed to be. So, us trying to empower artists to say, guys, when it comes to the compositional right, you really, really need to be, sort of firm on, what is your share. So understand firstly how everything works, because, I'll tell you something that amazes me. I mean, I've heard many songs sometimes before they come out, and it's very hard to say what will be a hit. Nobody really knows. Yes, I know some people say, this thing will be a hit, but nobody's really sure. So you'll be shocked that the song that you just say, it's fine, I'll take a 20% and give somebody 80%, that song is going to be a massive hit. So make sure that, you are knowledgeable. And then lastly, in closing, there's something that we call a split sheet in the music industry. So a lot of artists, especially, and this one I'll be very straightforward, especially the recent up and coming artists, Mapiano and all those sort of trends, those guys do not complete split sheets. So what you often find is that when a song goes big, then guys come in, and then somebody demands, oh, I own 60% of this song. Oh, I should get 40%. And then the squabbles begin. So in order for you to diffuse that from the beginning, the moment you guys are done, sort of recording that song, you need to create a split sheet. We've got it on the SEMRO platform, but simply, even if you don't download ours, you can simply take a piece of paper, just call it, this is a split sheet for the song, whatever the name of the song is. And then, you can call it Voice on the Move. And then from there on, these are the creators. And then you write the names of the creators. You then also get IDs if possible, but you don't need to. And then you make sure that you get the percentage, make sure it adds up to 100%. And then you sign next to it. So at the end of the day, once that is done, nobody can come back and say, oh, no, I should get so much, and the disputes come after. So it's best to limit that, and that's always good sort of governance. And I know when we are vibing, governance is not the first thing that we're thinking of. But trust me, when it comes to the money side of things, you should be thinking of it.
I guess there's a lot for artists to actually think about when it comes to making sure that their royalties are spread evenly. And we're talking about the split sheet that a lot of people, artists, don't necessarily think about when going into creating a song. But on that note, we do have a question from Sent, who asks for a musician who belongs at a certain music label, for instance, who is responsible for registering the musician to USAMRO and other royalties and the agencies that you have just mentioned.
Yeah. So it depends on the agreement you have with your label slash publisher. But I will make it very simple for you. I don't care what agreement you have. The purpose of making money is your business, right?
Yes.
And I know people, it's easy to delegate. Everybody wants to delegate. Yeah, but that guy must do it. My man, at the end of the day, it's very simple. Who should earn? It's you. Whose creations are they? It's yours. So make sure, either by following up with the label or the publisher, so that they confirm with you every time you've released music that they've registered it, or you need to obviously reach out to SEMRO to confirm that those songs are registered. Because at the end of the day, when you're creative and you have a label, all that it is that you have hired somebody, but you are still the boss.
Mm.
So the boss never looks away. You must always keep track of the money. You can never say, no, 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 I've hired somebody, now I can look away. You never do that. So the principle is very simple. Yes, simply you would expect your publisher or your publisher slash label
Yes.
to ensure that your songs are registered, but your job is to make sure that it does happen. You never just relinquish that responsibility to somebody and never check it, because a lot of people lose money. I can give you an assortment of cases where people lose money because somehow they never check that that label or slash publisher has done the necessary due diligence.
I think what I'm picking up mostly from what you've just said is that to the artists that are listening in on the show this morning, do make sure that you check your money. It is
Yes,
yours. It is due to you. You have
it's
worked for it.
yours.
So let's make sure that we continuously do that. But on that note of checking with the artist, on the other side of the line, we do have Shanae. She is an artist as well who delves into gospel. We're going to be speaking to her about her journey in the industry. But should she have any questions for you, Shanae?
Hi, good morning. No, it's so
Good
good to be here. Thank you so
morning.
much. Yeah, lovely. It's so nice to be in the same time zone. I was just in America, so it was always like good afternoon. It was always awkward. So it's so great to actually be in the same time zone. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So obviously we have Mr. Karabo Sena, who is on the other side of the line, and he is Samro's general manager in terms of licensing as well as sales. If you have any questions for him by any chance, he is here and he's able to answer that for you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I mean, what you said was I was really listening because something my husband and I we are also having a company in the music industry. So we are very much involved with that as well with our artists, and it's something I know is so helpful to so many artists, obviously. So it's really good to educate, especially. I'm still learning so much. To be honest, I'm the artist, so I'm not really my husband is the manager, so he's the logical one, the one that actually understands the legalities and all of those things. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely learned a lot. I think I know that like it also works different in different countries. Just coming back from the States where we actually registered my music there as well. It's kind of interesting. So I think I don't know. I have a lot of questions, but I also I'm usually not the one who handles it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just educational to know, definitely. I think I would ask the question as an artist who has their music played overseas a lot. Obviously, that is in itself completely its own. It works a little different, I guess. With royalties on that side, usually it takes longer the payouts, if I'm correct. Something I would definitely ask.
Yeah, so Shanae, from our side, SEMRO, we have seen, so we've got different income streams. One of them is foreign, right?
Yeah.
When we say foreign, what we mean is that this is revenue collected throughout obviously the world, whether Germany, whether the UK, the States, or anywhere else. Now, from a timeline perspective, funny enough, it used to take a long time. But now that has been fast tracked. So we are able to distribute or pay out those particular royalties in a time span of about 5 to 6 months, right? From the moment, let's say, the performance took place. So the song played on a specific radio station overseas. It's weird that it's actually slower for our local sort of usage. And the reasoning is that whenever the files come through from, what we call the, international PROs, we do not actually amend the file. We would actually process it as it is. So meaning Gamma from Germany, or, sort of like a Boomer from the Netherlands, or even if from the States, it would be like the three. So it's SESEC, SCAP, and BMI, right? So any one of those sends us the files. We would literally just pay that out. And so meaning you do get your money this side. And the biggest thing that I often get with people when I speak about those territories, they say, okay, fine, what about the currencies and those sort of things? It's like, what
Yeah.
happens, obviously from our perspective, we would convert the currency because they pay us in their currency, and then we would convert it as to on that date whatever the rand value is to that currency, and then we'll pay the person. So what it means, obviously, if your songs are played internationally, is that you can stand to make a lot more money because of also the currency conversion does help, versus a play this side, because one play this side may attract a certain rate, but overseas maybe a little bit more. And it just depends how often your music is used, internationally.
Yeah.
And it also goes for digital platforms, where a lot of times people don't understand. Like when you go to America, there's a lot more compliance where people actually subscribe. Unlike in South Africa, where you go to a Spotify, majority of the people are on the freemium. But
Yeah.
you go to the States, people actually subscribe, so they are paying money. So a rate of play is significantly a lot more than what you would have probably the same performance in South Africa. So those
Yeah.
are the subtle variances between the different geographical spaces. But all in all, it's literally the system is so well knitted that wherever you are, you could be sitting here and you still get, as long as your music is used, you still get money, obviously paid to you. And I mean, a lot of guys that I work with, sometimes they're even shocked. They don't even know how is it that some person in Japan, is playing my song and could be playing on radio. And music is weird. People can resonate with your music and they can't even understand what you're saying. But for some reason, they just like it and it does well there. And you just see the royalties coming in. So
Yeah.
those are some of the trends that we see.
Mhm. No, that's definitely good. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and I've seen that before. I mean, I've been paid out obviously with royalties. And it's comforting to know as well, because, you kind of think to yourself as an artist, how do they keep track of everywhere it's going, but I mean, I know that, all of that is like tracked and everything like that. So, that is really great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thanks, essentially.
On that note, Mr. Sinna, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We look forward to having more conversations with you, because it seems like there's a lot that we need to dive into and understand, and it's a broad topic when it comes to musicians and their royalties, how it's paid out. But for this morning, we're going to wrap it up here with Mr. Sinna, and then we're going to go into conversation with Shanae about her journey in the music industry. Shanae, welcome this morning. We're so grateful to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Are you like energized and you're in our time zone, so you're breathing the same air as we are? Welcome back, by the way. We hope the trip was exciting and that you learned more and are going to be coming back with new music, possibly.
Yes, definitely. We are currently working with producer, Grammy Award producer, actually, in Florida. So we work on a couple of songs there. I mean, he's the same producer who does Toby Mac songs, and he worked with the Jonas Brothers, guys like that. So it was quite something, working with guys that are on that level in the industry. I'm very excited because at the moment we are wrapping up two of the songs basically, and we're gonna send it to Capitol Records, to some record labels there in Nashville. So I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen. But things are definitely happening. Yeah.
Trust me, we're as excited as you are, because we've listened to your songs, we've seen your music. Your voice sounds so melodic and soft, and it really speaks to making gospel music actually relatable. And we listen to it and we say, oh my word, it doesn't sound like gospel, but when you're actually speaking about your relationship and your faith, it actually makes sense, and it sounds beautiful. And I want us to then dive more into your journey. You released your first single in 2021, and that hit a lot for you, and we want you to let us know, how did it come about for you to actually dive into that?
Definitely. So, 2021, I released my first single, Speak. That was my first official radio single. And had the privilege of working with some amazing guys here in South Africa at a record
Yes.
label. Yeah, and we sent that song to Abbey Road Studio, to Sterling, in New York, which is where some of the big guys as well. So the guys that work, it was mastered by Randy Merrill. He works with Taylor Swift, with those guys. So I was really, I must say, honored to like have my first introduction into music at such a great level. And yeah, that was really a bit of a breakthrough. It went, all over South Africa, went overseas a little bit as well. And yeah, from there, it really just ignited the fire of, what is possible. Because I mean, you never know until you start and you're like, wow,
Yes.
it's actually, it works. People like my music, it plays, and there's so much more. So that was pretty much my introduction into music.
So we speak about Speak, which was released in 2021, and you had been working on music and in the industry, if I could say so, from when you were 9. That is quite a lot of passion if we're talking about starting at 9 years old, going into music. Can you speak to us about what actually inspired your passion for it?
Yes, I mean, 9 years old is quite young.
It is quite young.
So yeah. So I mean, when I was a little girl, I just always I'm a very artistic person. So, I'd either have a paintbrush in my hand, painting something, or I'm always making stuff, and then or music. And my dad bought my first guitar for me. He was in a rock band in his younger days. So I was really just like inspired. And I remember when I was a 9-year-old girl, I started writing my first songs. My very first song was about chakalaka. Very weird. Anyway, so yeah, I started writing all these like songs. It just started developing in me, it is just, it's like that overflow. It's like something you can't help yourself. It's just who you are. And it was so exciting because you like this sounds like something and the people kind of like it. I played for my aunties and my granny, and they would like it. They'd even pay me some money for it, or say like, well done, little child. And I was, inspired to make some more. So I mean, it really started at a young age for me. Yeah, pretty much.
Shanaik is a big fan fan chakalaka, so I'm gonna go out there and actually look for it to see if it's gonna relate to the chakalaka that I eat and love so much. But talking about your talking about then your experience and growing into music, making sure that it's relatable, we're gonna speak about Jordan. What inspired you? What were the feelings that went into Jordan?
Yeah, so this song, it was, this was the like my debut album that came out, it was the lead single towards that.
Yes.
And it really like I don't even know how it started. It started with the chorus one random day. Like songs come in different ways at the most inconvenient times usually. And I just remember I got the chorus and it developed from there. But basically also, I mean, I really wanted to collaborate with another artist,
Yes.
and I'd met Himo Biesam, who is a big name in the industry as well. I'd met him previously at a church conference, and I really felt this was the song we have to do together. And it was so profound, really, that song in itself, because he was going through his own experience, where he related so much with that song. And it was just like, it just happened, like kind of one of those things in life, and God just kind of puts it all together. And the money just came for the album, for that song. It finished with that. Well, it finished with New, which was my last song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was an amazing experience. I mean, especially I've collaborated before with artists, but definitely it really was an eye-opener, collaborating with someone with so much wisdom as well, having a lot of experience in the industry. So I learned a lot from him, which was fantastic. Yeah.
Shanae, because of time, we're going to go straight into Jordan. We could go into more conversation, but obviously we need more time. We're going to schedule more time, and there's a lot that we can speak about because I really, really want to dive into the depth of Jordan. But for now, we're going to go into it and take a little ad break. We have one more comment coming in from Play It Loud Records, and he says, great show. Of course, we were chatting to Okarabo Senna earlier on, and we have on the line Ushane, who is also an artist, and we were speaking about about musical rights and going into the journey and being paid. And she did mention that she had a few questions for Ukarabosina, who was then answered. And it spoke to the journey and how to properly get into the industry and actually go well with your royalties. But for now, let's take that break and play some Jordan.
Getting on a train and I'm heading west, leaving town for a couple of days, running straight into an escape. These scars are running deeper than the blood in my veins. My tears are flowing stronger than yesterday, running straight into an escape.
Escape from the valley of the shadow of death. Be brave, be safe, what is better than that?
I'm getting up and I'm breaking down the walls. Fear has lost its grip on me. I am free.
I'm going to the Jordan. I'm going to wash the sinners white. I'm going to the Jordan. The well that won't run
Try.
You know, the more I delay the Jordan, it is evident. Glory in all its own, it's benevolent.
Running straight into an escape.
If a smile gone, change it out tone. I'm bringing hell to a hell home. Play sound waves, bring a river to your cell phone. Give me 12 stones, waar ik klaar hier. Ik zit het met mijn pijlboom, baster braaf. Maar indrukkelijk in die fjaalboom. Mijn water aardig, hou je druppels voor de fjaalblom. Daarom, voor de oorkant drijf, hou die voorkant, blijf zo hoor. Als we voor de Jordaan trek, met de volvraag mensen die water ik droog, dat we ons rap weg. I'm going to the Jordan. I'm going to wash these sinners white. I'm going to the Jordan. The well that won't run dry.
Take me all the way. Take me all the way. Take me down,
Down, down, down to the river.
take me all the way. Take me all the way. Take me down, 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 down to the river.
I'm going to the Jordan. I'm going to wash these sinners white. I'm going to the Jordan. The well that won't
And joy.
That was, of course, Jordan by Shanae, and that is a beautiful song, really rhythmic and beaty. It makes us dance, and it goes into the journey that she was speaking about making music that is relatable. Shanae, while we still have you, we're going to go into your new song, which is called New. But before we go into that conversation, we do have a comment from Sent, and he says that he loves the beat and the rhythm of this Jordan, and great music to you, Shanae. Of course, that was a beautiful song. It was very vibey, like I said. I almost danced in here, but then, we have to keep composure every now and again. So, Shanae, we're going to go into a chat then about your new single, which is titled New. Tell us more about how it came about.
Yes. So New was the last single to my album. And it was such a journey, that song, and it had so much anointing on it, really. I wrote the song for my brother, actually, at the time, because he was in the hospital. And when we wrote the song, it was also the last song my producer at the time that we did together. And then he actually passed away a few months later after that song. So the song in itself, it speaks about God doing a new thing. It speaks about you know, there's seasons in life, and every season has a beginning and an ending, but there will be a new season. And it's like giving you that hope, really, to like also, you know, there are painful seasons, but there are joyful seasons, and you just gotta have to press through, you know. So it's that it's relatable, but it's also hopeful. And when I wrote this song, you know, I never knew everything that was gonna go forward after that song, you know, that was gonna come after that. And you know, first my producer died a few months later, and then we actually went to the States, and that the guys that were in the music industry there that we met, they heard the song, and that's how we actually got about being introduced to this Grammy Award winning producer. So it opened up doors for us, really. Came back home, and my brother actually passed away a week after we came back home. And so it was just like a ripple of things, you know, and a lot
Yeah.
of sadness, a lot of like death, actually. You know, and I sang this, I mean, it was just 3 weeks ago from now, actually, that I sang this at his, we call it his celebration, not a funeral, but, you know, I really like, it was, in a way, like, it was almost like I was prophesying, you know, in the song. I know that sounds sort of weird, but I was, you know, I was giving myself hope. And I think a lot of singers, because it's like your journal, you know, you write what you're going through, and you write all of that. But a lot of times, I think he Mobius taught me this, you know, like you sing to yourself, you speak things that you don't know of. Music is deep. And I didn't know that, you know, now looking back, now singing the song and singing the words, I can actually understand what I'm saying, you know, like my brother fits into that song so beautifully, because he's in a beautiful place. He's in heaven. He's in a new place. So it does have that hope, even though it's still sad, you know. So that's the story of the song, you know. It's quite it's quite a lot, you know.
You know, there's a lot of difficulties that we go through, and seasons that we go through as well. And first and foremost, condolences to you and your family for the losses. It must have been very like disheartening, and you do say that there was hope still in all of that. And then going into some hope, we see that you have All I Do, which is speaking to your soul. It speaks to our souls as well, and then it goes to diving into the emotions that you felt while you were going through everything, releasing new as something that also spoke to what you had been through. Talk to us through All I Do.
Yeah, so All I Do is a song really about, you know, the lyrics say, all I do is give it in all to you every day. Like, it's basically saying, God, I give you everything, you know, I give you the broken, I give you the hope, I give you the joy, I give it all to you. And, you know, I can't fix myself, but I know by not trying to be this perfect Christian, trying to be this perfect person, I come to you just as I am. And that is all I need to do. That's all I do. So that is the message of the song, because for me, you know, having gone through my own pain in life, I've come to realize that God doesn't want perfect people. He just wants open hearts. He just wants your heart. And that's all you have to do. And sometimes the very best place to be is at the end of yourself, because then there's nothing left, and he can do so much when you have nothing. I don't know how to explain that, but that is the truth. Yeah.
Shanae, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us a story, going back into your childhood when you started with the music, and going into speaking about Jordan, talking about New and All I Do. We look forward to talking to you again, more conversation about your albums and possibly new work, because you are an international babe, darling. So of course there's going to be more that's coming through. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to play for you All I Do and take a little ad break, and then we'll be back.
All the men have gone away, colors floating in the wind, ready souls have gone to fight, take the cause and break the night, wake the sun.
course, All I Do by Shanae, a very beautiful, soulful song. The music video is even more entertaining because you see a lot of action in that and it speaks to who she actually is and her music industry. But for now, we're going to cut it there. This is Voices of the Art on Voice on the Move Network. Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. Nalina Laka covering info and Dube. We're going to be here next weekend, same time, same place, and we hope that you're going to be here with us too.
VM Network, it's your time to tune in. Stories that connect where we all begin. Laughter, lessons, journeys unfold. VM Network, let the stories be told. VM Network, it's your time to tune in. Stories that connect where we all